G'day, it's Jamie and welcome to Where's My Yowie. Today I'm reading an old newspaper report about a Yowie sighting at Oatlands, Tasmania in 1867, so we'll get into it. This was published in the Tasmanian Times on Thursday the 25th of July 1867, titled The Melton Mowbray Hounds at Oatlands. Saturday last was a day that all the sporting fraternity at Oatlands had been looking forward to for some time past, being the one on which Mr. Blackwell had appointed to meet his friends and give them an opportunity of enjoying a day with his hounds. As the Oatlands country is more particularly adapted for hunting than almost any other part of Tasmania, there is almost invariably a large field, and on this occasion there was no exception to the general rule. By 11 o'clock, about 30 horsemen had assembled, including Mr. James Lord, on pickle, and the riders of Little Buck, High Over, Robin, Tally Ho, Blue Bonnet, The Cure, Harkaway, Capricorn, Deerfoot, Jumbo, and a very clean jumping bay whose name I do not know. A few minutes having been allowed for any who might be behind time, a start was made for the property of Mr. Lord, where a fine in half-score minutes is generally the order of the day, but upon this occasion all were doomed to disappointment, for in spite of the most careful investigation on part of the hounds, the cover known as Scrubby Hill was drawn a blank. Mr. Lord then piloted the way for several more favourite haunts of the kangaroo, but all without success. At last it was resolved to try the scrub on the Gulliver's Lagoon run, and herein a very few minutes a welcome ringing tally-ho was heard, which set the blood dancing through every vein in the bodies of both men and horses, and almost at the same time a fine flyer was viewed making tracks at his best pace. In a very few seconds the hounds were well on, and away at a splitting pace. A small log fence, which soon appeared, gave the field just a taste of what was to be expected in the timber line. The first obstacle having been cleared well by the whole field, the chase continued for a mile or so towards the eastern marshes roads, when the hounds turned short to the right, giving the timber gluttons another mouthful in the shape of a big deadwood fence, which was negotiated in fine style by all the horses I have named, as well as by a chestnut ridden by Diana Vernon of Tasmania. The country now has become more open, and it was evident that the long-tailed un was making for his starting place again, and as the pace had been very fast from the first, a speedy kill was anticipated. Just at this juncture, and within sight of Mr. Lord's ground and boundary fence, the attention of the field was drawn to a most extraordinary-looking creature that was making the most frantic endeavours to stop both hounds and hunters, but in this amiable intention he was completely frustrated. The only satisfaction afforded to him was to see about 25 horses and men topping the deadwood which bounds the hospitable regions belonging to Mr. Lord, and over which such goblins dared not go. I have since learnt from a person who was once in the show business that the creature was, from my descriptions, in all probability descended from two large Highland baboons which had escaped from his caravan many years ago and had last been seen in this district. This was about the end of our run. For a few minutes afterwards the pack came into a check and threw up on a piece of wet marshy land, and although Mr. Blackwell Jr. who was hunting the hounds, was most indefatigable in his endeavours to lead them after a few short spins and one or two little fences, we were obliged to admit that the kangaroo had the last laugh for once. According to a general start was made for home, before finally separating for the night. It was decided to invite Mr. Clark of Clawn Hall to pay us a visit with his pack on the 10th of next month, when there will be some deer enlarged. Hoping there will be good sport, and I shall be there to see it and tell you of our doings. Hark away, the end. Oh, that's a really strange encounter as far as I'm concerned. So I was saying it was like an extraordinary looking creature, and then the guy gave his description to another bloke who said it was descended from two large highland baboons. But what I find really strange is the guy was more interested in the kangaroo hunt on horseback, like they were doing a fox hunt type of thing, and the names of the horses, and more interested in that than actually sighting the creature, which I find really strange, because that would have been like the biggest thing that happened that day, considering they didn't catch a kangaroo. It's really weird. Okay, that's it from me. I'll get back to you all next time. Tally ho!